This is Sports Center at the Indianapolis 500.
Like their grandfathers and fathers before them, two of the most famous names in open wheel racing return to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Thursday. Third-generation drivers Marco Andretti and Alfred Unser turning laps in preparation for Friday's Menards Infinity Pro Series event. We welcome you to Sports Center at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway along with Scott Goodyear. I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us. You know, the Indy cars return to the track on Friday for Carburetion Day. But today, the Menards Infinity Pro Series cars took center stage for qualifying for tomorrow's Futaba Freedom 100. First car out to qualify, how appropriate, our last winner in this series from St. Petersburg, Marco Andretti, 18 years of age. He'll graduate from high school in about 2 weeks. Andretti turned an average speed of 185.326 miles an hour, 10th quickest. How about Al Unser III, average speed 186.258 miles per hour. Puts him inside of row 4 as he qualifies 7th. And the only female in the field, Michelle Abbott. She is a college student driving for Ron Himmelgard. Good enough for 14th starting spot, an average of just over 183.125 miles per hour. And claiming his first pole driving for Sam Smith Motorsports, Jaime Camara, a 24-year-old Brazilian out of South American Formula 3. He started twice in second spot this year, but his very first Menards Infinity Pro Series pole, and he certainly will lead the charge for the Futaba Freedom 100. There's a look at the starting lineup. You see Marco Andretti, that will start 10th. Al Unser III starting in 7th spot inside of row 4. Well, now it's a pleasure to be joined by a pair of third-generation drivers whose fathers and grandfathers certainly enjoyed legendary racing careers here. We welcome 18-year-old Marco Andretti and 22-year-old Alfred Unser to our show. And gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Oh, no problem. Thanks to be here.
Got to ask you, have you felt any added pressure here to follow in your father's and grandfather's footsteps, to carry on your family legacy here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Marco, let me start with you.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of added pressure, but you can't think about that or you're not going to go fast. I always say that, but I don't know. I think I just need to focus on what I need to do, and right now we got a lot of work to do. So right now, I mean, we're flat, and I'm doing as much as I could do, so we just need to try to trim the car out as much as possible and gain some speed.
Al?
Well, you know, like I've always said, I've never not felt the pressure, so I'm really not sure how it feels with or without it.
Now, for both you guys have a long history, obviously, within the family. And the key thing, I guess, that I'd like to know is that family memories when you're coming here watching your father's race. I mean, can you give us a thought on that? Marco, you first.
Me, I wasn't able legally to be in the pits till last year. So I think I'm used to hanging out in the Speedway Motel, just listening to the announcers say my father and grandfather's name. But just this year, like I said, I was legal to come in, and now to drive on this place is it's awesome.
And Al, what about your thinking?
Well, you know, same with Marco. I really haven't been old enough to get into the pits or into the garage, but I do remember being snuck in a big Simpson duffel bag to get into the garage and stuff to see my dad's car.
You know, Marco, you couldn't have written a better script on your debut for the Menards Infinity Pro Series at St. Pete. You sit on the pole, make that daring Mario Andretti-type pass with 10 laps to go to get back up front and win the race. How steep has the learning curve been coming here in a new series?
It's huge for me. It's like St. Pete was the biggest race I've even competed in, let alone won. So to me, that was very special. I don't have any words to describe how awesome that was, especially to do it for my friend. And it was a tough weekend, but it couldn't have went better. The stuff we could have controlled couldn't have went any better. So I mean, we were happy.
Al, besides your father, your grandfather, and your uncle, you've also got a bit of a special relationship with Marco's grandfather, with Mario. So what is, has that helped you a little bit? What have you learned from him?
Well, you know, not much. He's not going to give me many of the Andretti secrets, that's for sure. But it's great to have Marco in the series, you know. It brings more fans and more sponsors to our group.
I'm told that when Mario retired out in, I guess, Monterey, that he was going to make one final lap to say goodbye, and he invited you to ride in the pace car in 1994. Yep. So here's an Andretti, a legendary Andretti retiring, and here's a third-generation Unser riding with him.
Yeah, there we are, and I actually got accused of being Marco. You know, everybody, when the track announcer, when we're going around the track, said, here's Mario Andretti on his Riva Dirty Tour and his grandson Marco riding with him. And I've got a big Al Unser Jr. hat on, as you can see.
Now, your dad, Al Unser Jr., was a huge Mario Andretti fan. Even though his father won the Indy 500 4 times, he was a big Mario fan, and thus you grew up as a huge fan of Mario Andretti.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's done lots of stuff that my family hasn't done. He's won an F1 World Championship.
Marco, got to ask you, everyone says that your driving style, despite the fact that you haven't been here very long, that a lot of what you do, your mannerisms in the car and out of the car, remind everybody not so much of your dad, who I think is a very good driver, but your grandfather, Mario. What do you think?
I don't know. We were talking about that. I think, for example, St. Pete, I had a lot of chances to make a move, and I think I'm aggressive, but I think about it too. And Dad was telling me how maybe he would have took the 50-50 shot, and maybe it would have worked, and maybe not, you know, but hopefully best of both worlds.
And Marco, the Andretti name is known so much in Formula One, obviously, with the history there. I know you're here at Indy right now. Any aspirations for Formula One in the future?
Absolutely, but I mean, I think I can't go wrong having my dad own like the probably the best open wheel team in America right now. So I mean, I'd be foolish not to go drive for him. And but I mean, I think Formula One's my ultimate goal. I always say it's every probably open wheel kid's dream is to go there. So yeah, I'm not gonna. But if we do it, we got to do it right.
Right. You guys come to this racetrack where the Andrettis and Unser have had so many battles over the years, and the fans do they remind you maybe of some of those great battles between Unsers and Andrettis, or are you already aware growing up here that there was a pretty good competition between these two famous open wheel families?
Well, as I've said, there's an Unser-Andretti rivalry going on, but as far as an Al and Marco rivalry going on, there's not much here. You know, we're friends, we go out to dinner and so forth.
Yeah, the friendly rival, so it's a lot of fun for us, but I think it's also a family rival too. So.
Well, obviously, your families have given us a lot of great open wheel history over the years, and we appreciate you guys being here to follow in those footsteps. Best of luck in Friday's Futaba Freedom. Well, who's going to win the race, by the way? Which one of you two is going to win?
No, I'm going to give it my best.
Okay. All right.
Sure, he will too.
Guys, we appreciate you taking time to join us here today. Third-generation drivers coming back to Indianapolis. You know, still ahead, Tony Kanaan's rise to stardom in IndyCar Series has taken many turns, but his journey to the top hasn't always been filled with joy. We'll share a very personal side to Tony's journey in just a moment.
Tony Kanaan will wind up as the winner of the pole for the 89th Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Reigning IndyCar Series champion Tony Kanaan has the pole for this year's 89th running of the Indianapolis 500. And like many champions before him, Kanaan's road to the top hasn't always been a smooth ride. As a young child, Kanaan dealt with his own personal tragedy. But through it all, he's kept a lifelong promise to his family. Scott Van Pelt tells the story of a champion's perseverance.
Tony Kanaan's path to becoming a champion has been a long and winding road.
Anybody, they have their own roads, and mine was a little rough, and I think you know, that was the way that had to happen for me.
Kanaan grew up in Brazil, where his father, Tony Sr., introduced his 8-year-old son to go-kart racing. 4 years later, Kanaan was winning his first of 3 straight junior karting championships. While Kanaan was winning, his father was diagnosed with liver cancer. Tony Sr. passed away in 1988 when Kanaan was 13. But before he died, he had one request for his son.
He asked me before he passed away, he had cancer, so he was sick for a while. He asked me to not stop racing, whatever happened, because he thought I was a good talent, and I had a great future ahead of me. And I promised him I would not to, and that's what actually kept me going.
With a heavy heart, Kanaan went on to win a race the weekend his father died, and continued on to win 3 more championships.
In my head was the failure, it wasn't a choice. So I said, you know, I'm going to make a living off racing. I don't know if I'm going to make an IndyCar, if I'm going to be a champion, but I am going to work in racing from now on, no matter what. If I have to drive a Beetle, if I have to drive a go-kart for a living, but I will.
Kanaan continued to race, moving to Italy in 1993, but he struggled financially. With almost no money, he slept on a mattress in his boss's office for 2 years. In 1995, Kanaan accepted a tryout in the United States with the Indy Light Series. The only problem was he spoke no English. Lifelong friend and Formula One driver Rubens Barrichello taught him the only words he would know coming to America.
He basically wrote it in a piece of paper, and I studied over the plane coming from Italy to here. So I only knew understeer, oversteer, I'm hungry, and where's the bathroom.
Despite Kanaan's lack of vocabulary, he had one chance to beat out 7 other drivers.
The only way to get the job against those 7 guys was going to be fast, because I couldn't speak. So that was one thing down right away, right? And I said, well, if I beat the hell out of them, they might pick me because I can learn how to speak. Can't buy talent.
Kanaan made the team as one of 3 drivers for Tasman Motorsports, a team that included fellow Brazilian and childhood friend Helio Castroneves. After winning 2 races in his first season, Kanaan captured the Indy Lights Championship in 1997 at Fontana, a track that would later contribute to the highest and lowest points of his career. In 1998, Kanaan moved up to the kart series and won Rookie of the Year. He forged a close friendship in kart with Canadian Greg Moore, another Rookie of the Year. During the final race of the '99 season at Fontana, tragedy struck as Moore was fatally injured in a violent wreck. Right before his eyes, Kanaan saw another loved one taken away from him.
You're never prepared to lose anybody, really. But my dad, you kind of expected, but you don't want to believe it, you know. And with Greg it was ridiculous. But Greg was just, that's it. I'm like, you couldn't believe that was happening.
Things would not get any easier for Kanaan. He joined Mayne Racing in 2000 and in 2001 was paired with kart legend Alex Zanardi. The 2-time kart champion became a mentor to Kanaan, another close figure in his life that would suffer a terrible fate.
Back at the German 500K, 14 laps left to go. Breck picks up the lead. Oh, and Zanardi, with a terrible crash.
In September of 2001, during the kart race in Germany, Zanardi lost control of his car leaving the pits and was involved in one of the worst crashes in racing history. Zanardi would end up losing both legs and very nearly his life.
I was worried to lose him, definitely, because there was a point that they didn't know if he was going to make it, and that was bad. When he woke up, I wasn't worried anymore.
Zanardi's recovery seemed to spark new life in Kanaan. In the next 3 years, he would make a surge in the IndyCar series, leading to one of the greatest seasons ever for a driver. In 2004, now a part of Andretti Green Racing, Kanaan completed all 16 races on the lead lap, the only driver to ever accomplish such a feat. He won 3 races, finished in the top 5 in 15 consecutive starts. His greatest accomplishment, though, would come at the track which haunted him only 5 years earlier. Kanaan clinched the IRL championship at Fontana. To celebrate, he and his teammates went to the spot where Moore was killed and drove donuts in honor of their fallen friend.
It was the lowest point, one of the lowest points of my career, and one of the highest. So that's how funny life is sometimes, and I'm sure he was there. You know, that's why we stopped in turn 2 at the end of the race and did those donuts.
Now at the apex of his sport, Kanaan is finally enjoying success. He's happily married. For the first time, will sit on the pole at the Indianapolis 500. And in a miraculous turn of events, his mentor Zanardi is attempting a comeback in racing. With his father's words instilled in his heart, Tony Kanaan can finally smile, knowing his father is smiling with him.
It was a tough experience for him, but today, for sure, I know he missed him a lot, but he definitely is a person that he is because of this experience.
Don't ever give up. Don't let it go. And that was his last words that I remember. And I think the determination that he had to live, it's what I remember the best. And I think that's probably, I picked the best out of him and kept it on my mind and gave me the determination to be here today.
A very touching story of commitment and perseverance and promise to family and friends that Tony Kanaan made years ago. Now, what about his chances here? That promise and that perseverance and that commitment, a lot of us believe he is the guy to win this race. What about it?
You know, we saw the family side from him, you know, but what I think about Doc right now is that after the championship last year, I flew back on the same plane with him, and he started asking about family. He started asking about my family, and the key thing is that I saw him a week later. I had my son Michael with me, and he had never met Michael before, but he remembered Michael's Michael's name. You remember Michael was interested in go-karts because there's a guy inside there that's a family guy, not the rough and tumble guy that you might see actually as a triathlon guy going out there to race and do well in sports cars or open wheel cars or anything that he drives. You know, and I think right now, as I said earlier, Tony Kanaan is the guy that has the chance to put it all together here because he's at the peak of his career right now.
When I asked him yesterday, when you cross that yard of bricks and feel that thump and the checkered flag is waving and you have just won this Indy 500, what will you think of? And he said, my dad, my dad, my dad. And obviously the tears in his eyes, you know, he loves his wife and his teammates and his family, but his dad would not let him give up on a dream. And that kind of being driven by a race car driver can mean a lot in a 500-mile race like this.
You know, absolutely, it's the dream. I mean, I've lived it. It's a dream just to get here first off, Doc, as you know, from all the drivers that are here. And obviously, Danica Patrick is leading that dream right now. But once you're here, your dream continues to grow, and that's what he's chasing right now is this dream that he wants to go off and win the Indianapolis 500. That's next on his goal list.
What a special story of faith and family from Tony Kanaan. Still ahead, Kenny Mayne has a race car, but he still needs to find some funding for his team. Kenny takes to the streets of Indy trying to land a sponsor. Would you give Kenny Mayne $1 million? Find out next. And we invite you to join us Friday here on ESPN2 for Carb Day, the final practice session before Sunday's Indy 500. We'll also have the Pit Stop Challenge, the Menards Infinity Pro Series event. Our coverage starts at 2 p.m. Eastern Time right here on ESPN2.
He's on it. That's the way.
If you don't win, do you consider yourself sort of a loser? Farmer in the Dell. Farmer in the Dell. Hi-ho, the farmer in the Dell.
I need you here, Elio. Get your open wheel button moving now. Woo! Woo!
Well, over the years, Kenny Mayne has made us laugh with his unique style of reporting. Now, this year, Kenny came to Indy with one goal in mind. That was to race in this year's Indy 500. And thanks to the guys from Sinden Racing, Kenny landed himself a ride. But little did Kenny know he still needed to go out and find sponsorship money. If only someone would give Kenny Mayne $1 million, he'd be set.
I'm looking for a race sponsor.
Oh, really?
Are you guys interested in helping me get in the 500?
You'd have to come in during the daytime and ask.
Looks like 10 to 4 to me. What do you guys consider daytime?
Well, 4-2, probably 3.
When I get behind the wheel of that thing, I think later the poets will write that I moved like, you know what I mean? They won't even be able to write it really. It'll be just sort of unwritten what I did. But do you guys see coming on board $1 million? You know, if you sponsor me, we could make the cover of Community News.
You think?
Right now, Cardinal Ritter volleyball star signs with St. Joseph is the lead story, but we could blow that out of the water. Stay in touch.
If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million.
Collision Solutions, I suppose you have a plan if there's a collision then?
Yeah, you bring your car in and we fix it.
Do you guys want to be a sponsor on my race team? Do you have the authority to sign up for that?
I do not have the authority.
I need $1 million.
Can't help you out.
I was telling the lady at the cleaners that years from now the poets will write about how I rode in the 500. It'll be poetry. So it's not going to happen today?
No, not today.
Haven't had any crashes yet. I'm going to be in the Daytona 500 or the Indy 500. You have $1 million? I need a sponsor. I need a sponsor. $1 million. Here we go, Steak and Shake. If anybody's going to sponsor this car, it's Steak and Shake.
And if I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you a K car, a nice Reliant automobile.
I'd like a chocolate shake and $1 million.
I would like $1 million as well. You want to share?
Well, I'm trying to race in the Indy 500, and I need a sponsor. Does Steak and Shake want to be my title sponsor? Can I have $1 million?
I don't have $1 million to give you.
Do you want me to come inside? I got to go do a sponsor commitment.
That car is 500?
I'm trying to get a sponsor for it.
Oh.
Do you have $1 million?
Heck no, I ain't got a million pennies. You kidding?
This is a very important moment. Sponsorship commitment. A lot of guys don't like to do sponsorship. I do. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
We're with the race team. I know I made you wait a little longer than you expected, and it was probably disappointing, but I'm here now. Now, does anyone have $1 million in here? No. What if we all pulled together? Then are we closer? Do you have any questions about my racing career? You guys know how fast I went today?
How fast?
40 miles an hour. Well, I like to keep it under control when I'm on the surface streets. This is the kind of thing you're going to get when you give me the $1 million. I'll give you 24 hours, or I go across the street to Wendy's. Maybe Brax Parker Paint will sponsor me, or Lake Crest 7-Eleven. Dr. Cronish, he was Vince Underwood's dad. He was a good doctor.
I'd be rich.
There is only one Kenny Mayne, and we hear he got almost $18 there, spending a week now searching up and down trying to get sponsorship. Maybe next year Kenny can get in the field here at Indy. Still ahead, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's an Indy car. What's Scott Dixon's car doing on the side of a building some 21 floors off the ground? We'll explain.
Hey, this is Darren Manning. I'm here downtown filming the target suspension of the car, not from the race, but from the building. You'll be seeing the guys, stunt guys probably, if I can get it on camera. Should be a pretty cool morning.
It is suspended in midair.
Are that our mechanic?
It's Brad.
Channel 8's hero is Darren Manning.
Woo! They're gonna win. Come on, Dixie. You gotta help. Yeah, you can. He's got to help. We've got an injured party. How else?
Against Channel.
Come on! Come on! Yay!
Drivers, are you ready? And you guys are off. Oh, gonna win it. Racing red. That's gonna be Alex Barron. Patrick Carpentier.
Darren Manning, crashing everything, including the pit stop competition. Catch you later.
Some of the fun in Indianapolis. If you need one reason to watch tomorrow night's show, we'll give you 33 of them from row 1 to row 11. You will hear from every single driver, all 33, who will start this year's Indy 500. We'll also preview the race, and our Scott Goodyear will give us his prediction. He thinks he knows who will win this one, the Indy 500 on SportsCenter tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. We might mention that Tom Carnegie, the legendary voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 85 years young, remains hospitalized here at Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis. We are told he may be released later tonight or tomorrow morning and should be back on race day. We hope that is certainly great news for all the fans. It is certainly great news for us to hear those golden tones back here at the Speedway. And tomorrow, Scott, Carburetion Day. What can we expect to see here in this final 1 hour of practice?
Well, Doc, the cars haven't been on the track since last Sunday. Some of the guys even before that. But the key thing right now, the cars have been rebuilt. Race motors have been put inside. Those cars have been inspected from one end to the other. The mechanics have done everything they can do. They're going to go out tomorrow, maybe run 20 laps, 30 laps, put the car away till race day. And the key thing then is all down to the drivers.
I know you're thinking about it. Don't tell us now. We'll wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow in our show, he will tell us who he thinks will win this year's 89th running of the Indianapolis 500. And we'll hear from all 33 drivers. Every driver in the field will have something to say in our final show from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Hope you've enjoyed our SportsCenter coverage live from Indy. Back tomorrow, Friday at 6:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2.